Hi guys, it's Sonelias and welcome back to this Let's Play of Hearts of Iron number 4. We're going to be working on Leo Belgicus. At the moment that's a non-existing country. I don't even think it's an actual name, but as you can see on the map here, it's basically a merger of the various different parts of the Low Countries, also known as the Netherlands, also known as the Benelux. So Benelux is basically the Netherlands, Belgium and of course Luxembourg. Anyways, let's get started on actually how we can actually form that within Hearts of Iron number 4. Alright, again, we are choosing basically to start off in 1936 here. In this example, we're going to be playing as the Netherlands, and as you can actually see, I've actually tried this a couple of times. So there's a few hints and tips around how to actually get the best results over here. So the first thing I'm going to do here is basically going to go for the extra political power. So extra political power is quite key when you want to do this. You want to make sure you get that as quickly as possible. And of course you basically pick your general and assign them to your units. And then you start assigning actual mission to your units as well. But yeah, we also want to of course set a field marshal above there if we can. But unfortunately we don't have enough political power to actually achieve that as of yet. Now we've chosen to play as the Netherlands. And as you can see, we're straight away going to be able to assign various different production items here. And in this particular example, we're choosing, of course, to do some transports, a light cruiser, plus, of course, submarines. Submarines getting the majority of the points invested in there. We're also getting some support equipment. Now, we're not going to be able to utilize that straight away, but the planes we should be able to utilize relatively quickly. But we, of course, also need to make sure that we actually get some extra bits in there. Now, transport planes, maybe a little bit too early for that, so yeah, maybe a good idea if I get rid of that for now. And let's actually invest more of the points into the actual weapons themselves. And as you can see, we at the moment only got 4 military factories and we got 3 dockyards, or docking stations to dockyards. Okay, what else? Of course, research. I'd always say go for, of course, your electronics and, of course, your industrial bits. So those are, of course, always key, no matter what you're playing. Well, of course, it does matter what you're playing, but if you really want to invest in more industry, these are quite key. If you want to be able to do more research, of course, the electronics is quite key, but yeah. Right, we're going to basically put some more infrastructure in place. So we're going to put up a few more civilian factories in place. At least we're planning for those. Plus also extra, yeah, proper infrastructure here. So we want to make sure we choose the relevant locations. And as you can see, I just put Holland, which is one of the 3 regions within the Netherlands in the game here. I prioritized it over the other 2, which is Brabant and Friesland. Also, at this point in the game, I actually set 3 infantry divisions to be built. I'm actually going to be building those and highlighting those in Friesland at the moment. Now, key reason why I'm doing 3 is because I have got only very limited manpower. And as you can see, I've actually set orders to this particular general to basically, protect the border with present-day Belgium. Alright, moving the troops there and actually then setting actual orders in terms of how to do the conquest later on. Helps with, of course, the planning. We want to make sure we get that planning bonus, which actually increases our fighting strength here significantly. Alright, so we're accelerating time, and at the main time we basically have, of course, the main thing we're going to keep an eye on is, of course, our focus. National focus that we chose was going to give us that additional political power. Right, the 2 regions that we're basically going to aim for, of course, is Belgium and Luxembourg. Basically, the Netherlands, Belgium and Luxembourg together would form a Leo Belgicus. At least that's the decision we can make in the game at a later point. Once we got enough points, and of course once we've actually acquired both the other nations. Now, we are playing this as the Netherlands at the moment, but in theory you could also play this as Belgium. Now, why would the Belgium potentially be better than maybe the Netherlands? Because when you're playing Belgium, you actually start with a significantly larger amount of metal, or steel I should say. Steel is required for a lot of your initial production early on, like your weapons, your support equipment, etc. Well, actually not your support equipment because that needs aluminum. But yeah, there's a lot of things that need steel either way, whether that's ships or whether that's weapons, whether that's tanks and so forth. Anyways, let's keep an eye on what we're actually doing here. We're just double checking exactly the numbers here. As you can see, we also got our command points here as well, and the command points will be used to basically do, for example, promotion on a general, or basically give him some additional skills. So, but yeah, in the meantime, we're progressing quite nicely in terms of our focus. Not too far off now. Let's see how far we can actually bring this. And as you can see, we're there. Okay, perfect. The first one is done. Let's straight away pause the game and let's choose a next one. Now, I would like to go for the collaborative ethos, but that doesn't work at this point. So we're going to actually go for the industrial effort. Industrial effort, of course, quite key. And as you can see, I've actually had those additional political power points that I gained. I've actually set them to basically get ourselves a fascist demagogue. What that does, it actually increases the political will towards fascism. Now, why fascism? Because fascism is required for us to be able to go to war a lot easier with, of course, our neighbors. It's not done as a democratic nation, potentially as a communist nation, but it's not really the kind of game I'd like to play here. Alright, keep an eye on actually our research. First one, of course, is the electronics one, which will be done in a couple of days. And that has just finished. Alright, let's choose a new one. We're going to actually take the next one in line there, which is the mechanical electronics, or computing, mechanical computing, which actually gives us again a research boost going forward. Right, the next biggest one would be, in this instance, again, the industrial effort. We should be getting that relatively quick. Let's keep an eye on what's going on here. Now, as you can see, one of the options in here is open up political debate. Now, that makes it possible for us to have a transition over to an alternate type of government, in this instance fascism, without actually getting into a civil war or anything of that sort. So that would be quite useful. Now, if you're already fascist state and you want to actually go back to democratic or non-committed, then basically, of course, that will be a different story altogether. Alright, there are some other interesting ones, like for example, Captain of Industry. That's a nice one, particularly if you're investing in more industry in the territory that you actually own. Alright, we see some other developments in the world. Ethiopia was actually acquired by, in this instance, Italy. And of course, still focusing on the industrial effort. So early on in the game, not necessarily a lot of exciting stuff going on, but it's all preparing for the later decisions we're going to be going with to try to get this all into one united Netherlands. Now, why am I saying United Netherlands? Because back in the, I think it was the early 16th century, when this was actually Burgundian Netherlands, that was of course all seen as one territory. Okay, there was different provinces within there, but it was all managed as one territory. And again, the same when it was under the Spanish, that then broke up afterwards into a Protestant and a Catholic area, and yeah, back in the early 19th century, those two reunited. So again, there was a united Netherlands, which was basically what is present day the Netherlands, or the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and the Kingdom of Belgium. Those two were originally, well, back in the 19th century, again united into a single nation. And I believe that only lasted for about 15 years or so. But yeah, in this game here, we're going to try to basically get those two to basically reform into a single nation. Right, and as you can see, we're still investing more in the industry. And we're actually, of course, choosing that Captain of Industry as being the guy who will be part of our cabinet. Key reason is he's going to give us a boost in terms of construction speed. 10% reduction in terms of construction speed is, of course, very, very welcome. Alright, let's look at these numbers here. Now, we do have a few extra factories here, but yeah, not quite in the numbers that we really want at this point. Okay. Civilian factories are being produced. Probably at some point we also want to basically put a few more military factories in there, but I guess we're going to leave that as is for the moment. Now, as you can see, we're actually having to trade for some additional resources like steel. And we're going to try to basically make sure that we basically get those from our neighbor. In this instance, the Germans, or the German Reich, to of course get us all that we need. Alright. Alright. We're going to be finishing the construction one here relatively quick. And again, that will give us a boost in terms of construction speed here. Again, that will be 10%. One day off, and that finishes. So let's choose the next one that we're going to go for. In this instance, yeah, I don't think I see the one that we want in this particular area. Let's have a look at the other options. So we can of course go for radio, but no, let's go for the support weapons, number one. Again, give us a little boost in terms of defense as well as offense, in terms of different tactics that we can actually deploy there, breakthrough and so forth. So that's quite useful. Alright, so we see that the actual fascist party, the NSB, is steadily gaining in particular political grounds there, so that's good. Now, do bear in mind, on the left side you actually see that the next elections will be in April 1937. Again, that's relatively quick. Probably at that point we will not have sufficient fascist power in place to be able to take it to the next point. Alright. What's next? Alright, again, we can have a quick look at those options. Let's collapse the ones that we're not really going to be dealing with, and let's keep the ones open that will be, of course, of relevance to us. The repudiation of the Treaty of London. Now, that is actually the second Treaty of London, not the first, because or is it actually the first? It's actually the second proposed treaty, I should say. The first one was rejected by the Netherlands, was signed by Belgium. That's basically where that breakup that I was talking about in the 19th century actually was, then signed by the rest of Europe, and would actually basically provide, assurance of independence for Belgium. It's one of the key reasons why actually the United Kingdom actually had an accord there to basically protect them. Now, what we're seeing here is we see one of our overseas territories, Suriname. Suriname is, or at least at that point in time, was part of the Netherlands, Kingdom of the Netherlands. At present day, of course, it's an independent country. It's still got close ties with the Netherlands, but back in the era of the Second World War, it was part of the Netherlands. Thus, of course, we're seeing it in that particular fashion here as well. Alright, we are still in 1936. One of our items finished here. Planes I want to do something with, but also my ships. But we, of course, also want to get some tanks at some point relatively quick. But I think the actual the supporting roles here, supporting types, like in this instance the engineering company, would be quite useful to have. Alright. What's next? Alright. Construction effort looks to be the quickest one to basically complete here again. Alright, political power is still on the rise for the NSB in this instance. Daily change is 0.05. It's not major, but any little bit helps. Any little bit helps. Political power is still on the rise as well. Yeah, we just spend, of course, points on different items, and again, we need to just steadily grow that. Thus, my game speed is still set to max. You might notice that maybe in the frame rate it's not the highest, but that's all down to the calculations. Now, typically this early on in the game, you will not notice necessarily big effects of running the game at high speed. You will start noticing it really once you actually get later on in the game, when there's a lot more military conflict going on, and of course all those extra calculations around that have to be done. At this point, it's still relatively easy, relatively quiet. Right, you saw that a second ago that basically the Netherlands also got some colonies over in the East Indies. In this instance, that's present-day Indonesia. It used to be a Dutch colony, of course. And yeah, because it's a former Dutch colony, or at least in this instance it's part of the protected territories, we can actually get pretty good trade deals with them. So we get a massive boost on there. I think it's 10 times the normal size you get for the same price. I'm saying price, of course, because you have to basically commit a civilian factory into there. So we're spending one civilian factory to get that particular resource. But of course, we still actually have to go through and getting the transports in there. Now, what I'm doing here at the moment, I'm actually choosing to basically produce some military units in present-day Indonesia. Because I don't want to just basically later on have a conflict here in Europe. I also want to have a conflict over in Southeast Asia. I want to be able to gain some territories there, or at least defend our holdings over there. Now, do bear in mind, by default, those protected territories will not join you in the war as such directly. It is more something that you actually have to set up to get done. Alright, so we're setting up two different types of units. These are going to be basically the defensive garrisons, and then we're actually going to set up the more offensive units here. And these offensive units will, of course, help us quite nicely when we're actually trying to do that conquest. So the garrisons are more for the defense, whereas the actual infantry divisions, those will be actually doing the offense. Right, as you can see, we can only initially load them here either in Java or what's the other island? Is that Borneo? I'm not quite sure about the name. But yeah, it's basically these two territories we have to choose between. It's Java and Sumatra. Those are the two. All Alright, so we set the numbers in there. I think that's about, yeah, 7 divisions make that 8. And times 3, of course, makes that 24. So that should basically make a nice round number. And we're doing something similar in terms of the actual offensive units, but we're doing that in 4 times 6. Again, 24. Alright, back home. Back in our home country here. As you can see, there's not much happening at present. Of course, we're still basically building up our units. And one of the key things I do need to change here is, of course, my actual conscription laws. Because I haven't got really that much manpower. I've only got, yeah, the basics here. So I do need to change something about this. Alright, so as you can see, manpower is the issue for basically getting more of those. I just don't have enough to basically recruit more than those first 3. Hopefully that doesn't bite me too much early on, but let's see how that develops in the game. Alright, what else? Research will be completing before the actual national focus, so that's good. So we're still in 1936, getting closer to 1937 here. Alright, support weapons will be, looks like on the same level as mechanical computing in terms of the time when it will finish, so that's good. Alright, and there we go. Both of them finished at the same time. Pausing the game briefly, let's choose the subsequent investments in terms of technology. Alright, useful of course to have maybe the trucks already or the motorized. So yeah, that would be helpful. So let's start researching that. Of course, we do need to start building those. And of course that requires certain resources and we'll basically have to invest in that as well. Great war tanks. Yeah, I think that's an initial step we can go with. Of course, I also want to basically do something with my planes, but I basically want to get my national focuses in relation to that done first. Saves me a whole load in terms of the actual time and effort required in terms of investment there. Okay. Let's check some of the actual production lines here again. See what else we can maybe add onto there. Perfect armaments effort. We just finished that one. So that's basically our additional military factory. Let's maybe now go for the infrastructure there. Again, the key reason I'm going down that particular branch there is because I want to get to the additional research slot. That's of course a welcome addition. Again, double checking exactly what we got in the production queues here. Making sure we're not underutilizing what we basically have got invested in there. So yeah, great. Alright, what's next? Looks like the actual, what is it, engineering company? Yeah, I think the engineering company will finish before the national focus. Now we do have enough points here now for the next item to be invested in. The local power, and we're basically changing our conscription laws here, such that at least we'll basically have enough points. I'm still actually debating, is that maybe the correct one to go for, or do I want to go for one of the other ones? Yeah, okay. We made our choice now. Perfect, we had another division ready. As you can see, we got a significant shortage in terms of infantry equipment, about almost 10,000. We had 10,000 shortage, to be honest. But yeah, lots of that is also going towards Indonesia to basically get those units up and running over there. Right. Manpower is, well, it's not an instant change really, that manpower bit. It'll always take a bit of effort and time to get that done. Alright, engineering company will be done in 20 odd days or so. So yeah, let's bear with that. Again, running at full speed the game. Beginning of 1937 now. Which of course means that some new technologies will be available once we complete this one here. Okay. What next? Alright. Engineering company finished. So let's actually go for something maybe down the industrial route. Is that probably going to be useful? No, nothing in terms of infantry weapons. So yeah, industrial looks like the area to go for. And of course concentrated industry is the one. Now guys, it's getting close to the point where I actually want to basically call it a day. So we're going to basically save away the game in a second. But let's first of course see that next investment here into the national focus. So again we're going to go down that same branch, so more infrastructure here seems to be quite useful. We want to of course get to that research slot itself. So guys, yeah, there's lots of options in here as you can see, but I think still that research slot is the one to go for. Guys, thanks again for joining me, hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, take care.